live from MIU. It's Saturday afternoon. I've always wanted to say that line. Thank you for filling that desire. Everyone wants to say that line from Saturday Night Live. You know, fulfilling desire is really one of the names of the game of life, at least one of life's game. Now, if you translate fulfilling your desires into the entrepreneurial world, it would be maybe the theme of this afternoon's event, which is how to manifest your great ideas. And that's exactly what we'll be seeing this afternoon when our 5 student finalists pitch their hearts out, sharing their best creative ideas with a panel of entrepreneurial judges. Welcome to Becoming a Big Fish, a Shark Tank-like event. My name is Michael Sternfeld. I'll be the host of this afternoon's celebration, and it is a celebration. This event is brought to you by the Maharishi International University Concept to Market program, led by Cliff Rose. And it's also a joint venture with the Changemaker initiative at MIU, which is a part of the David Lynch Foundation, who I work for. The David Lynch Foundation is bringing its high profile energy to put MIU more on the map, which it so richly deserves. Now, when I say, by the way, a Shark Tank-like event, you know, really, we've graduated. This is not just a Shark Tank-like event. This is really just about the real thing, because gracing us today is the original shark on Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. Why don't you take a shout out there, Kevin?
Hey guys, how you doing? Good to be here. Thank you, Michael.
I want to give Kevin his formal introduction, but it's really pretty amazing that we've attracted Kevin Harrington, who in the first, I think, 2 or 3 seasons of Shark Tank, he was the original guy. And to have him part of the festivities today really adds a level of authenticity and authenticates us that we are the real thing. So let me now, before I introduce Kevin, I wanted to say a little bit about why does MIU have this concept to market program, or why we're even hosting this. And the reason is because we do have this concept to market program. The business department, one aspect of the business department here is this concept to market program, which it's amazing because it coaches the next generation of entrepreneurs and mentors them to go from their seed idea through a business plan, through their marketing plan, distribution. It really takes them through the ropes, both on a certificate program and a degree program, to manifest their great ideas. And you can imagine, it would be amazing that if we had that super fluid connection between our ideas and manifestation, that's part of fulfilling your desires. So that's really the theme: how to manifest your great ideas, fulfilling your desires, and creating this super fluid transition between your ideas and putting it out in the world. So now, let me give a more formal introduction to Kevin Harrington. He's our lead judge today. He's also going to deliver a keynote address, and that's what I'm about to introduce him for. So I've already said Kevin was one of the original sharks on the Emmy-winning TV show Shark Tank, but let's face it, he's been one of the most visible business figures in the field of entrepreneurship. He's like the infomercial format, that long-form infomercial format. Who came up with that? Kevin Harrington. The made-on-TV brand. Who came up with that? Kevin Harrington. He's launched over 20 businesses that have grown to 100 million in sales each. And over his amazing career, he's developed over 500 products, yielding 5 billion in global sales. That was with a B. That's 9 zeros we're talking about. So he's also put out some of his books recently, Act Now and Put a Shark in Your Tank. He is really committed to empowering the next generation to greatness. So coming up in his keynote, he's going to distill the very essence of his entrepreneurial success from his varied experience and deliver a call to action to all the participants, panelists, and attendees out there. Welcome, and let's take it away, Kevin. But I want to ask you a question before we start, because everyone's wondering, how did you get attracted to work with us at the Concept to Market program?
Thank you, Michael, and thank you for the introduction and the kind words. And I'll say this, first of all, I am a big believer in relationships, and I've known Cliff Rose for probably 25 years, maybe more. And so when Cliff called me up and said, "Hey, Kevin, we're doing a Shark Tank-like event at MIU. I said, oh my goodness, it sounds like it's perfect for someone like myself. Okay. So I said, Cliff and I talked, and he's an amazing guy. We go way back. And I just said, first of all, I love entrepreneurs. I love entrepreneurship. And I know that at MIU, you have a lot of very entrepreneurial students there. And so taking pitches is kind of what I do for a living nowadays. Okay. So I am normally last year I was on the road 200 days, a European tour, an Asian tour, a Latin tour, a US tour. And now I'm doing it virtually. So, and this is a great way to connect. I think I would have been there in person in Fairfield, Iowa this weekend, but we pulled it off on a virtual situation here. So I'm here to support the world of entrepreneurship, and certainly my friends from many years ago, like Cliff Rose, and I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Michael. And I don't know when you want me to start a keynote, but I'm ready to talk whenever you're ready.
I'd say you've framed yourself nicely why you're here, and I would say let's just dive in and hear your words of entrepreneurial wisdom.
Super. Okay, great. Well, I want to thank MIU, the Maharishi International University, and also the students who have been participating in our program, because the students that there was many dozens of students that applied to get into this program, and we were only able to pick 5. So there's been a lot of things going on behind the scenes. Putting on an event like this is not an easy task. And just starting from the student side, they have to, first of all, come up with the invention. They have to maybe start doing engineering, prototyping. It's good to know if you have a product, sourcing it, the manufacturing connections that you might need, because in the process of all of this, you need to know your cost of goods. Where is your distribution going to be? What are the legal ramifications? Can you get a patent? Can you get trademarks? Are there going to be knockoffs? Okay, so this is not something to take real lightly. When I think of it, people say, "Oh my God, that Shark Tank show, it looks so fun and glamorous." And well, that is one side of it, but the other side is all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes. Number one, for the panelists, the people pitching, the students in this particular case. In the case of Shark Tank, that's just the very beginning of the process for the shark and the entrepreneur. We do the deal on Shark Tank, but now it's subject to what? Due diligence, okay? So, both sides get to make sure that the deal makes sense. And from my side, I'm going to invest in the business. I want to make sure that if they said they got a patent, that they really do. And I found out in some cases that the folks didn't really have what they thought they had. They maybe had a provisional patent, which only gives them 1 year to really go get a real patent, a utility patent type of thing. So there's a lot of craziness. There's a lot of risk. I can talk about some of the good deals on Shark Tank that went from 0 to 10 million in sales and even more. I can talk about the ones, one in particular that I gave $500,000 for 50% of the business, and 6 months later, they closed the doors down and handed me the keys with some unpaid bills above and beyond the $500,000 that I gave them. So that's the downside, right? And so anyway, I want to say that there's a lot of hard work that goes into all of this on both the investor side here, because we've all been studying these businesses now for the last 4 or 5 days, the judges, and got some great, powerful judges today. So I'm going to take 1 minute to just describe how I got into the infomercial business, and I'm going to give a couple of final thoughts for our folks today, and some ideas for the future. So people ask me, how did I get into this as seen on TV infomercial business? And it goes all the way back to the early 80s. I was sitting watching my cable television, and all of a sudden channel 30, which was I only had 30 channels. The last channel was Discovery Channel. When I got to Discovery, there was nothing on. And so they just had colored bars. I called the cable company and I said, hey, there's nothing on Discovery. What's the problem? And they said, it's a new channel. It's only an 18-hour-a-day channel. They don't have a budget for 24 hours a day. So I then said, well, I've got to find something to put in the 6-hour block. And that's when I started going to trade shows and finding the Food Saver Food Sealer and the Ginsu knives and many other products. Billy Mays, I discovered back in the mid 80s, and Arnold Morris, and we started, and we got into Jack LaLanne and the Juicer and George Foreman, Tony Little and the Gazelle. So that was the early days of infomercials. And of course, I met a lot of great people there in Fairfield, Iowa. Cliff Rose and Katie Williams, and some really powerful folks that I've remained very close friends with for many, many years. So the infomercial industry started, it's grown, and of course now as the TV space has changed a little bit because fewer people are watching TV. Now there's more people that are tuning in. In fact, there's been a decline in television viewership because people are now on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and a lot of the streaming channels. Disney Plus has 50 million signups in its first 6 months. And of course, Netflix, we know, has tons of users. So the bottom line is that our business has morphed from the old days, which was very expensive. Television time was expensive. And we tended to build big operations. I had 500 employees in the early days, and we would spend a lot of money to produce an infomercial and test the product. That's sort of the old way. Now we use a model that we call it, we test before we invest. And it's a much smarter way because I can put a landing page and a funnel together and $1,000 worth of ads that might get me literally, I mean, Facebook, you can buy ads for $5, $10, $20 an ad. So, I mean, I'm able to launch a business with under a $10,000 investment in testing if I have the product or the service. So this is the power of the change in the marketplace today. And I love it because in the old days, we kind of budgeted $200,000 for an infomercial and the media test. Now we can test products for under $10,000. So the test before you invest has been an amazing thing for us. And I know Michael and the team, everybody said, could you share any of the things you learned from Shark Tank? And so a couple quick things before we finish up here and move on to our students who are going to pitch. One of the things I just mentioned that I put up 500,000 in a company, owned half. It was a private company. So the sharks and the investors, one of the things that's so important is to focus on, is there going to be an exit strategy for this investment? In other words, how do I get my money back? Okay. So people want, I want $1 million for 20% of my company. Well, but when will I get my money back? Because you need to make 5 million in profit and me get 20% of those profits back. So when, for me to get my money back, but that's if you have distributions. So, the focusing on the exit is important. And I'm going to throw out a term here that is something that's been very powerful for me as a money raiser, because I invest money, but I also raise money. So somebody came to me, wanted $20 million. I put the first $250,000 up and I helped them raise the other 19 million. And there's a term that I use if you're ever having a challenge raising money, because sometimes the first money in is the toughest money to raise. And this takes the form of what I call, if you offer the investor as the student coming in, and I know it's a little different from what we're doing today, but on Shark Tank, if you offer the shark an accelerated payback on their money, maybe, in other words, they're going to put up, let's say they're putting up $100,000 for 10% of the company, but when will they ever get that 100 back? Well, if you gave them 50% of the profits until they got their 100,000 back, and then they had a carried interest of 10% for the rest of their life, but now they're made whole. They got their money back, and now they get 10% for the rainy day when you might sell the company. So that accelerated payback is a powerful way to get early on investors excited, because you're focused on getting them their money back quickly. And I do know there's one shark that loves that for sure, besides myself, and that's Mr. Wonderful, okay? And I always love to ask the question, do you know why Kevin O'Leary calls himself Mr. Wonderful? Well, there's a reason. Nobody else will. So he's the only one that does. Okay, so because he loves talking about himself, and I only say this in a nice way about Kevin O'Leary because he's actually a very nice man, but he's a very tough investor. And the last comment I'm going to make, and I'm going to flip it back, Michael, so we can get some pitches here. This is what we're all here today. The Kevin O'Leary has built his brand on being the tough guy and being the nasty guy on Shark Tank. But that he has raised money, and he's raised millions of dollars under the O'Leary Fund. So he goes out, raises capital, and people say, but how do I know you're going to, make sure I get my money back? He said, you ever watch me on Shark Tank? I'm the tough shark, right? So anyway, brand building is important. And for all these students that are going to be presenting to us, there's a whole way of launching a business. One of my books is called How to Become a Key Person of Influence in Your Industry, a KPI. And so I highly recommend that the students that are building, that are looking to make their pitch and get some sharks on board as investors, that they also focus on becoming key people of interest in their business so they can be the go-to people, build the brand of your product, your business, your service, and yourself as the entrepreneur. And that unto itself, I could spend quite a bit of time talking about how to build your brand, but my book, Becoming a Key Person of Influence, is a good resource and a good place to start. So I just want to say thank you for having me here. And just one last thing. The old days, we put big overheads and 500 employees. Now we say contract out everything, get the transactional kinds of service providers. Phone calls can be taken per phone call. Shipments can be made per box ship. You don't need huge overhead, but you do need a good dream team. Surround yourself with some good experts and contract out as much as you can on a transactional business. There's a lot of service providers in the business of shipping, fulfillment, customer service, etc. So I made mistakes in the past, and that was getting too much overhead. Focus on the production of the quality of getting this product, your business out there, getting customer acquisition is the focus, and don't put all the money into overheads and employees and salaries and all of that. So anyway, thank you guys for allowing me to speak a little bit here before. And I want to wish the 5 entrepreneurs pitching today good luck. And I want to thank them for being here, because it's not easy getting up in front of all these folks that are going to be listening on our virtual event today. And I just want to say, for the 5 that made it, thank you and good luck and do a great job. Take care.
Thank you, Kevin. That was a great jump off point. But, this is going to be completely unrehearsed, but I didn't even cue you, but I got to ask you one more question, if it's okay.
Sure.
Is just saying, you talked a lot about just the brass tacks of the business side. Could you share like the one key mindset thing, if you could share with our young entrepreneurs, the kind you've had extraordinary success. What would be the one key mindset thing that you think was the active ingredient in your success?
So when I was a young entrepreneur, I can admit this because I've come a long way since, but I was a little bit too confident in my own abilities, and I was good in marketing and sales, and I could go ring the cash register, right? So I was great at the sales, but you need operations, you need finance, you need the detail people. And so I always, I'll never forget my accounting firm recommended that I hire a very strong CFO, and they said, and this is back in the early and mid 80s, and they said, you should pay this person between $125,000 and $150,000. And I said, that's way too much. I don't have that kind of budget. And I ended up finding somebody for $60,000. And so this person cost me millions and millions of dollars in mistakes, because I built a $50 million business with a $60,000 CFO that didn't know how to run that business. And so I was great at ringing the cash register, but I needed to surround myself with a better dream team. Once I finally realized this, and by the way, the biggest thing that I needed was capital, and I couldn't raise money from the banks until I brought on a former CFO of a bank, and who had retired. And so I brought on bankers. I brought on operations people. I brought on some really powerful folks, and I called it my dream team. And now today, I've got digital experts, I got legal experts, I've got operations experts to support my marketing skills. So surround yourself with the best of the best, even sometimes if you can't afford it, because they're going to save you money in the long run. So I think that's the mistake that I made, and now I don't make that mistake anymore. With the various companies I'm involved with, we want to get the best of the best in there, helping us run those businesses.
Thank you, Kevin. I needed that one little nailed piece because I've made that same mistake myself. But today I feel very lucky to be surrounded by a dream team putting this all together. So we've been really fortunate. So now we're getting to the meat of our program here today, where we're going to go into hearing from our 5 student finalists. I should say we had about 25 submissions. These 5 were the top 5 that were chosen. And I'm going to go over a little bit the rules first. But first, I want to introduce our judges, which is our dream team here today. Our 5 judges that we picked here, they're all from Fairfield that work with Cliff and the CTMI program. They're mentors to the program. They work with us. So now, let's see, all the judges, you can turn on your cameras if you haven't done so already, because I'm going to be introducing you. So Ken Ross is our first judge, someone I've known for a long time. He's actually very interesting. He started his career on Wall Street working at Sullivan Brothers under the direction of who else but Michael Bloomberg. Over the next 35 years, he's had an amazing, successful serial entrepreneur career, growing and selling 4 companies in 4 different industries. So recently, Ken was the CEO of Food Chain ID for the last 13 years, which was eventually sold out to private equity groups. And now Ken is enjoying his retirement. So welcome, Ken Ross.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Next up is Monica Hadley. She's got some serious organizing power. She's the CFO of Aeron Lifestyle Technology, and it's guided the development of it and several other companies on multi-million-dollar growth curves. Now, Monica would have been on Kevin's dream team. She's the CFO. So, she's also guided several companies towards public acquisition to private equity groups. She's another super successful serial entrepreneur. Welcome, Monica.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
And now we have Dennis Roland. Even though Kevin is our lead judge, Dennis is our kind of coordinating judge. He did manage the crew last time during the judging process. But Dennis has been a senior manager for a number of large financial services companies, always maintaining his hallmark bottom line accountability. He's also been the COO to multiple publicly traded investment companies and has been a business strategist to multiple startups. He's a mentor in the CTMI program. We're really glad to have Dennis Roland. And finally, Alden Rowe is our next gen judge, who has the distinction of being a graduate of the Concept to Market program, as well as having earned an MBA from MIU. And it's interesting because he knows the ropes on these kind of Shark Tank competitions because he was a finalist at the University of Iowa's John Papajohn Business Competition. And currently, Alden works for Cambridge Investment Research Company in Fairfield, Iowa. Welcome, Alden.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
So those are our 5 judges, including Kevin Harrington. And now we're going to shift to our 5 student finalists. So I'm just going to give an overview of them briefly. First of all, I just want to give like the picture of the whole scene is, we opened up the submissions to, at first it was just going to be for MIU, and then we thought we'd open it up to the high school students in Fairfield, both at Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment, which is known as MSAE, and also the Fairfield High School. So we were very, very surprised that of the 5 finalists, 2 are high school students. And that's pretty amazing. 4 of the finalists are women, which is, that doesn't surprise me at all, but I just think it's just very interesting. So I'm going to go, let me just set the rules now. Each of the 5 finalists are going to have exactly 3 minutes or a maximum of 3 minutes to pitch their idea. They are going to be able to use PowerPoint. And then the judges will give about 4 or 5 minutes of feedback. So Dennis, I'll just say, yeah, we can go a little over 4 minutes. We tried to keep it short and quick, and this feedback is not like Shark Tank where we're grilling them. This is to be mentoring and coachable feedback. And then after we go through each of the 5 pitches and the 5 feedbacks, we'll adjourn, and then we're going to have to hear three great talks actually, while the judges are deliberating, and then we'll come back for the awards ceremony. So that's the basic structure of today, and I wish all the finalists who are pitching great luck. You have a supportive crew here, but I do want to add one thing. This is for real in the sense, Kevin didn't say it, but one of the reasons why he's involved with Cliff in this program, he's looking for the next great idea to be a venture capitalist. And last year, some of our judges, like Dennis, they backed some of the projects that were pitched. So this is the real thing. This is not just an exercise today, okay? We could be finding the next Apple here today. So first pitch is going to be David Ford. He's actually one of the students from the CTMI program. His pitch is called My Real Home. It's about shipping container homes. And he's going to graduate from the CTMI as a minor this year. He has an undergrad coming up in sustainable living. He's one of our older students, 48 years old, with a wife and 3 kids. He was 18 years in the radio telecom business. And also, I want to say he was a veteran of the Navy. David, thank you for your service.
At 17, I enlisted in the U.S. Navy. 6 years later, I was a decorated combat veteran and honorably discharged. 2 years after that, because of circumstances beyond my control, I was homeless. I know what it's like to be homeless. I know what it's like to want to have a place of your own. Hello, I'm David Ford, and I'm the founder of My Real Home. It's my mission to make your dream of owning a real home come true. If you're a millennial first-time home buyer looking to put down roots, or the empty nester looking for something more manageable, My Real Home is just what you're looking for. I'm offering you a sanctuary, a unique living space where you can recenter, recharge, and return to the world worry-free. Shipping container homes provide an excellent opportunity to recycle, reuse, and reduce a person's carbon footprint. Shipping containers are inherently strong, designed to spend months at sea in harsh conditions, made to universal standards, which means they're exactly the same, no matter who makes them, and they're widely available. Currently, there's about 17 million shipping containers worldwide. About 11 million of those are going unused. We're taking that and we're turning it into this. We offer 3 options, giving the appearance of a larger, more traditional home in a 480 square foot, a 640 square foot, and an 820 square foot model. Each model has multiple layouts with a variety of upgrades depending on the client's budget. One of the advantages of the semi-custom home is the reduced cost of the design phase. We customize pre-existing plans based on a mutual vision with our clients. Another advantage to save time and money, for instance, is the use of precast pier foundations instead of traditional footings. Are you searching for a place to call home? Our micro homes are at a price millennials can afford and empty nesters want. We build using modern sustainable technologies and recycled shipping containers. My Real Home is regenerative, environmentally appropriate living at its best. Thank you for this opportunity. I'll take any questions you might have.
Okay. Are we ready for the judges' comments? Okay, I'm going to start it off. Thank you, David. It was a nice presentation. I think one of the things I always try to think of what's relevant to this business model. Tony Hsieh in Las Vegas has been using containers. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but he's made a retail kind of a place in old Las Vegas. Have you seen that, by the way?
Yes, sir, I have. Actually, I studied some of his business plans.
Great.
When I was researching shipping containers.
Okay, so that's part of what I guess I'm recommending, and I'm glad to hear that you already knew about that. I visited. I went to Tony Hsieh's house, had a meeting with him there, and then he toured me of his facilities there. Really cool. There's also a company that rents these out for storage containers too. I can get you information about them. But one of the thoughts I had: do any of these exist yet? Have you done one home that is modeled and ready? Is already ready to sell?
No, sir, I have not.
So this is all kind of like planned, but nothing in place.
Yes, sir. This is all a concept.
Okay. Well, I would say, the health spa model, they would take a container, almost a model home out front. They didn't even build the back, and they would use it. Then this was the model, what it, they show what it looks like, and then people would buy memberships, and then they would go build the building in the back. So I'm just saying that might be an interesting model for you, is to get one of these built, have people coming in to see the model, and then you could have land behind it where you could be selling a bunch more. So just some food for thought. We're short on time, so I'm going to pass it on to the next judge. But thanks.
I love that. Thank you, sir.
Sure. Yeah. So I really like the project a lot. I think there are a lot of different things that you can do with this. I sort of have a couple thoughts. The first thought is that I think one really good application that you could potentially expand into is sort of secondary houses that people can use for Airbnbs. It can be a very affordable way to, if you want to have a sort of a cabin or something, to rent it out part-time as an Airbnb to cover your cost. So that could be an affordable way as well that people could possibly interact with your business. Another thing I'd think about is seeing if you can make it so you can prefabricate it locally and then maybe ship it out in pieces. Because if you're having to build them for people, having to go on site and build it is going to sort of reduce where you can do business. But if you can maybe put together, the building in several pieces, then ship it out, that's going to expand, who you can sell it to geographically.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. I've actually considered the Airbnb angle. I've got a neighbor across the street who's retiring soon, and that's what she's looking to do, is put in one of my homes as an Airbnb just to generate some additional income in her retirement.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I definitely think, you could generate, if you did it for about $150 a night with a 2-night minimum and had to open for half the year, I mean, you could generate, $6,000 to $8,000. It's definitely possible.
Absolutely.
Great, David. Yeah, I again also like the idea. I think there's an affordability crisis in housing in America. Yeah, I think everyone's pretty aware of that. I have a daughter who has a tiny home, and I'm aware of that, and how it works or doesn't work for her. I think one thing I'd like to see in your presentation is what the price points are, so people have a sense of how much are you saving versus traditionally built structures, and and how affordable is it, how much the monthly payment, and all those kinds of things. Then the other issue I think you need to address for some people have some concern about living in a metal house. Does it have the breathability? Does it have the warmth of a wooden house or another kind of material? And there's some sense that maybe it's going to feel a little not so much. So I haven't been in one, so I don't know how the interior finishes address all that. But I think those are things that you need to address in presenting to investors about the appeal to a widespread audience.
Nope. Absolutely. Yes, sir. To answer your question about the price point, which is great, and I did leave it out hoping that would draw somebody in and ask. Here, just looking at the Fairfield market, a typical home, pre-existing stick-built home, is about $133,000. My middle-of-the-road home price point is about $85,000. So it's quite a bit of savings there. Again, and yes, you're absolutely right. We are looking at a housing crisis and a shortage in this country and around the world, for that matter. I mean, just in the next 5 years, we're expected to build 25 million homes.
All right, Michael, I think we're ready for the next. Thank you, David.
Thank you all.
Very well done.
Oops. David, I want to just thank you for that pitch. And what I particularly want to honor you for is you took an experience that you had, which was very challenging, being a veteran and homeless, and you used that as your seed to produce something really great. So I would really like to see this being successful. Thank you. So next up is one of our high school students, Lily Fenton. She's actually a 10th grade school at Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment, MSAE. So 10th grade means that she's about 15, which is truly amazing. She's been living, though, in Fairfield Hills since she's 3 years old. And her particular project is she was trying to figure out a way to reduce the incident of distracted driving accidents with the smart steering wheel sleeve. Take it away, Lily.
Good afternoon. My name is Lily Fenton, and as a 16-year-old, I am learning how to drive safely. I am also passionate about helping people and making the world a better and a safer place to live in. Today, I will be explaining my ideas of how to reduce the incidences of distracted driving. So what is distracted driving? Distracted driving is where a driver is doing other things that take their attention off the road. This includes taking hands off the steering wheel, eyes off the road, and mind off driving. A driver may be texting, eating, doing their makeup, and so forth. An average of 9 deaths and 1,000 injuries from distracted driving are reported per day in the United States. And in the time frame of 30 days in 2017, 42% of high school students in the US were known to communicate via the internet while they were driving. So how can we stop this? I would like to utilize technology to limit distracted driving, especially in taking hands off the steering wheel, because it would be world-changing if fewer lives were lost each year from this global habit that can be eliminated. For my product, I would like to create a steering wheel sleeve that monitors the driver's hand placement and creates good driving habits. This product would warn drivers when their hands are off of the correct 9 and 3 position by emitting a continuous noise until the hands are placed back on the steering wheel. Additionally, it would connect to an app where the customer or family and friends can monitor the driving habits over a certain amount of time. Customers could also potentially save money on their insurance premiums by driving undistracted for a certain percentage of time. All drivers would benefit from this product because they would learn better driving habits and could potentially reduce their premiums. Insurance companies would save money on accidents caused by distracted driving. Law enforcement would better identify the causes of accidents and help drivers who are known to be distracted break their habits. And last but not least, car manufacturers would better identify if their car malfunctioned or if the customer was distracted during a crash. There are other devices such as the Right Track device, which is distributed by Liberty Mutual. This product monitors how well a driver drives, such as the speed of the car, like many other devices do, such as the ones used by police. However, these products do not account for whether or not the driver is distracted, which makes my product unique. I am one of thousands of teenagers that are learning how to drive that would like to develop safe driving habits. I would also like to help people, and I believe that my product could assist them in getting to that place. In conclusion, this enhanced steering wheel sleeve will take road safety to a whole new level. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Very nicely done. Nice written presentation. And I just want to ask a couple questions, so thanks. Have you created a prototype yet, or is everything just basically idea stage and PowerPoints and things like that? Does an actual prototype exist?
No, I haven't created the actual thing, but I've been messing around with designing it on my laptop and creating what it would look like.
Okay, so just to make a couple recommendations, because this is kind of mentoring kind of thing here. I think the idea is very interesting. I always say, I don't know if you've done a competitive analysis of what might exist out in the marketplace. That's something an investor looks for. So in other words, I know I've been pitched probably at least a dozen apps that are dealing with distracted driving. But this is the first time I've seen one that actually is on the steering wheel. And I actually kind of think it's pretty cool, and I think you're onto something possibly here. I don't know that I drive in the 9 and 3 position, so may have to be able to move those around a little bit, but I highly recommend that you get a prototype, because once you get a prototype, you can now let people try it and you can start working on proof of concept, because you're at the early idea stage, which is great, competitive analysis and a little bit of actual hands-on kind of experience with a prototype. I have a company that does prototyping, so maybe outside of all of this, I can help you out making some prototypes. So we can talk at another time, but congratulations on getting it to this point.
Thank you very much.
We have another judge.
Hi, Lily. So I loved your presentation, and for a 16-year-old, I think you have amazing poise and confidence. I think you've picked a very challenging business opportunity because you're talking about both manufacturing an actual physical product, which has its own challenges, and a digital, software issue, which has a whole nother set of challenges. So that's going to take some doing, I think. Do you have any idea how much the sleeve will cost?
I wanted it to cost around $30 if we could be able to produce it for cheaper than that, because I think that's an affordable price for many households, but then customers could also potentially save more on the premiums.
Okay, but you don't really know what the cost. Do you know what materials you're thinking of using?
Not yet, but I'm thinking some sort of fabric around the wheel.
And how does the sleeve interface with the app?
Well, I think that each individual sleeve should have its own code. So then customers could type in the sleeve's code to track the steering wheel.
Is it Bluetooth is what you're thinking?
Yes, something like that.
Okay, great. And how do you convince young people to use it?
Well, I think a lot of parents would like this because they worry about their children driving. Students, they might like it because, like college students, they might like it because they could save on money, which is a big thing of this product.
Great. Thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
Lily, this is Dennis. Great job. One of the things that I noted, and actually it's a characteristic that all of the finalists shared, was a use of independent third-party research to support your value proposition. That's something that is extremely important in communicating your message and the value of that, and also using that third-party independent research to segment your market. I thought you did an exceptional job of that in your write-up presentation, and you touched on it on your presentation here. One question for you that I had was this Right Track, is it sold or how is that distributed right now?
The Right Track device is distributed by Liberty Mutual, so
Right.
people can connect it to underneath their steering wheel, but it doesn't track if the driver has their hands on the steering wheel.
Okay, is it sold through Liberty Mutual or are there
They
other?
just distribute it
Okay,
as an incentive.
okay. So I assume and when it comes to monetizing it, the number that you summarize feels right. Do you have any market research to support the pricing of the product?
I've been researching some other like normal steering wheel sleeves that many people use, and a lot of them cost around $20, which
Mhm.
I thought mine should be 30.
Yeah, will in part depend upon the technology.
Yes.
One other thing that I'd like to compliment you on is you are one of the few candidates or finalists, I should say, that discuss partnering as your approach to market. Kevin alluded to that in his opening comments to the program about how important it is to get really key people behind you. Partnering is certainly a way to do that. And you have some very well-defined market segments, and those partners are very easy to define, can make a big difference in getting your product into the market or struggling for years attempting to penetrate the market. So nice job.
Thank you.
Hey, Lily, I really like this project a lot. I think that distracted driving, is a big challenge that we face. I feel almost every time I see someone, do something crazy, they almost always have a hand on their phone. So I really like how you're trying to address the issue. One thing I would really think about is kind of the integration with the technology piece, because I think it's kind of how the sleeve interacts with the software, which is really going to set this apart and make it more difficult to replicate. So that's definitely something I put some attention into. I know with those insurance sort of computer plugs, I know that a lot of different insurance companies have that. I know I used one before with Allstate, so it's definitely something that insurance companies are thinking about in a way. I think that's kind of a little bit of a proof of concept where you want to be able to tell if, people are responsible with the way that they drive. So I really do like the project, but I definitely would think about that kind of technology integration. One other thing I would consider is thinking of potentially having a different model for consumers versus commercial, just because I think they're going to have different sets of needs. And that could also allow you to price them differently. So if the commercial one's more robust and keeps track of more things, that would allow you to, make it a little more expensive. I feel like $30 might be a little bit cheap. I mean, I think if I was a parent, I'd be willing to pay, double to triple that, maybe even more, because I do think it's a good product.
Okay, thank you. I'll consider those 2 points.
Thank you, judges. That was great feedback. And Alden, I really like, boy, for a young entrepreneur, you're giving like incisive feedback. Thank you, Lily. I want to just say, when we had the little meeting with the 5 finalists, I was concerned that you were going to be maybe a little soft-spoken or maybe not be able to put your pitch out in a strong way. That was a brilliant pitch. So much poise. Your PowerPoint was excellent. Really good training at Maharishi School. And I'm sorry I said you were 15. I forgot you're 16. Okay, thank you, Lily.
Thank you.
So now for our next pitch, we are going to go, and I've been coached a little bit on pronunciation here, is Feng Yan, who's in our undergraduate computer science program, scheduled to graduate in December at MIU. And her program, she's originally from Vietnam, and her program is called, essentially, I'll give the layman's term. It's the Nail Salon Business Management App. So, Phong, take it away.
Hi everyone, I'm Phương. I'm a web application developer and a Java programmer. I have also has my friends in California who own a beauty salon. And today I would like to introduce my nail salon management system named HAF. And this is me. I have experience in this industry. In the US, there are 80,000 beauty salons, taking revenue of $23 billion per year, and 85% have less than 10 employees. And that's a 56,000 salon needs a management software. The beauty salon out there in the market, this is our competitor, but this was a race idea a few years ago. Only $6 billion in US sales and only 25,000 nail salons. And you might think that it is just a micro niche. It's just okay for a little student project, but I don't see it as a micro niche. I see it as a huge opportunity, especially for a Java programmer like me. Did you know 70% of the nail salon industry is owned by Vietnamese Americans, and they have special needs in running their salon? The nail beauty the nail software have to be somewhat different from the beauty salon software. Have served the needs. The standard beauty salon software does not work well for the nail salon. They are too complicated, too confusing for employees to use, and nail salons split profits in a unit way, so accounting is different. Now, have turn tracker feature tell the salon employees when they get the next customer. Have we provide sales and training in Vietnamese language? Our original plans, we will start by getting 15 to 20 beta test customers in Los Angeles, more than 300 salons. And then we will submit HAP to a software review within 4 months. And then we, by the end of month 6, get best the app rating, and then we scale up the marketing. Our marketing goal, first year, 1,000 users. That's only 4% of the 25,000 nail salon in the USA. And then from there, we will target the US markets at high it can go. And then we go internationally, where Vietnamese dominate the nail salon, Canada, UK, Australia, Spain, and France. Financial requirement, stack up investment capital of 200,000 and break even at 800 users, pay in $59 per month. And we expect it to happen in the fifth quarter after launching. Our expansion goal end of year 2, 1,500 users, end of year 3, 2,400 users. The company expects to have an annual seller discretionary earning of $535,000 and a gross market value of $2.1 million based on estimate of valuation multiplier for software to service business. Now, would you like to join our investor team?
Okay. Hey, Kevin Harrington, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I know my wife goes to a nail salon regularly. She had to stay away for a little while here with the coronavirus, but I believe that's all starting to come back now as they're being opened in many of the states. The one thing that I'll ask you, and then I want to talk about it. How long do you think it's going to take you to develop this app? Starting, if you started today, going forward, what's the time period, and how much money are you going to spend on the development of the app?
I have already developed this app. It is 70% done, and it's only one feature I haven't done yet. It's the online booking appointment.
Okay. So
I'm,
you say it's about 70% done?
yes.
Okay. So the reason I'm just gonna caution you that if you have to be, the app has to be very well tested with a lot of people before you start selling it, because I've been involved in a lot of app development, and one of the bad things that happens is there's always a rush to finish it, but there's always little things. The beauty salon business, the nail salon business is a very interesting business, but you have to make sure that you give this to nail salon owners, and they're using it and giving you all the feedback before you start selling it, because you're going to find a lot of bugs in it. It's got to work perfect, because if it goes out and it's not working well, it'll get a bad reputation and then be very difficult to expand it and sell it from there. So I highly recommend that you really focus on getting the beta tested, getting it out to a dozen or so beauty salons, and after you think it's done, and let them give you great feedback on things that aren't working as well as they like, or aren't working at all, or that they think it's beautiful. Hey, if it's great, fantastic, then go to market. That's my recommendation.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, this is Ken Ross. I started my first company was a software company. So I come from that industry, and I like your niche, but I think you're right. It's a micro niche. That's pretty. $2 million can be a very nice business for you, but is small enough that it's hard to attract certain kinds of investors. So I think building on something that Kevin said, I think the kind of investor you're going to need is someone where you're going to have to give them some kind of royalty out of that $59 per month until they get some multiple of their investment, because you're not a big enough business to sell it for $5 or $10 million. I don't think. You might, if you get to $2 million in sales and you're making $500,000 in profits, then you might. But it's still a pretty small niche. So I think your angel money, you will have to have some kind of structure similar to what Kevin was laying out. The other thing that occurs for me about this kind of business is in these small business environments, $59 a month sounds like a reasonable cost for the application, but how willing are salon owners going to be to part with that much money? And I don't know if you've done any research on that, or any surveys or whatever, but certainly you would hope that it has all the value that you've alluded to being built in to help them manage their business. It would more than pay for itself. But I'm always a little nervous with small businesses willing to part with a penny, than no less $59 a month. Again, that sounds reasonable for a business to me, but a very small business, I think you need to go out and do some market research, which would be easy to do. Call 50 or 100 salons, explain what you're doing, and then ask them, if it did all that, how does $59 a month sound?
Yes, thank you.
I think you're uniquely positioned for this because you're Vietnamese, and
Yes.
As you said, so many of the nail salons are owned by Vietnamese. Are there any other program software, anything out there that's in Vietnamese now that these salon users are using?
Yeah, I don't see many of my friends they work at nail salon, and I don't see they use any software at all.
So it's still very manual.
Yes.
And is this software just going to work on phones, or is it Windows, or both?
It's work on laptop, Windows, and phone.
Okay, great.
It's a web page.
Good. And will it handle the full accounting needs as well as scheduling and so forth?
Yes, and online
Sales
booking
tax?
appointment.
How about sales tax?
Sales.
Sales tax?
Human, yeah.
Yep, okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you've done some actual financial projections. I'm curious what you based your customer support costs on an ongoing basis, how you estimated that. So the customer service, on an ongoing basis, how did you calculate how much you'd have to spend on that?
In the first 3 months, I will be the only employee in my company, and then after that, I will hire one customer service per 100 salon.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, great. Thank you. Good luck. I'd be interested in seeing your full plan.
Thank you.
Yeah, Fong, very, very nice job. You were one of the few submissions that used a gap analysis to evaluate the market and the need for your product. So I thought that was exceptionally well done. So
yeah, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So are the judges now done with Fong? Okay. Fong, I just want to say this is an example of something that is foreign to me. It's a very niche market. I just have one question for you. Why are, almost all the nail salons owned by Vietnamese? What's the connection? Can you share that with us?
When the Vietnamese immigrate to the U.S., they don't speak English really well, and they less educated, and the nail industry is easier to make money, easier for them to get a job compared to the job in the market that they have to speak English well to get a job. So they just nail to the nail industries.
So I just always wanted to ask that question. I think it's so interesting because it's just interesting connection and it's true when you're doing nails, you don't need to speak English that well. But I really compliment you on taking a particular niche, your background, your connection. You have friends in the nail salon businesses, and you developed a very specific target market. I think you're going to be really successful at it.
Thank you.
So now we're going to our fourth pitch person with Shristi Sharma. The Alzheimer's Protective Watch. Now, Shristi is another example of someone who is from MSAE. She's in the 11th grade, which puts her, I guess, at around 17, still amazingly young. She's lived in Fairfield since she's 5 years old, originally from India. She's interested in computer science and also the connection between computer science and psychology, which I think is very interesting. And also interesting that Shristi was one of our runner-up in the contest last year. So now we are going to look at the Alzheimer's Protective Watch smartphone app, or app for smartphone. That's what it is. Shristi, take it away.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Shristi, and I'm a high school junior interested in computer science. When I was 11, I finished the Intro Computer Science course from Harvard, and at 13, I completed a nano degree in full stack web development from Udacity. This past year, I was able to put my skills to good use. Upon the death of a family friend from Alzheimer's, I took it upon myself to do something to help the other 55 million people with AD. In the US, Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death. But get this, if among all Americans alive today, if those who will get Alzheimer's disease were diagnosed early, it would collectively save up to $7.9 trillion in health and long-term care costs, not to mention giving future patients ample time to take measures to deter the disease. As of right now, there's nothing on the public market that can help with early diagnosis, but I aim to change that. This March, I coded a prototype of an app for a smartwatch that uses pre-research biomarkers to predict Alzheimer's 12 to 15 years before normal clinical diagnosis. All the user needs to do is download the app on their smartwatch and let it run in the background as it passively collects user data, extracts relevant details, calculates the biomarkers, and analyzes them. If the user's data mirrors the same longitudinal progression of health as patients with Alzheimer's, it sends a warning notification to the user with a recommendation to seek further clinical assessment. On the left side is what looks like if there's a warning, and on the right is what the screen looks like if the user is healthy. I've already created the prototype, and because of it, was the senior champion at the regional science fair, received first place in computer science in the state, and was honored as an international science and engineering fair finalist this year. By this December, I'll have this app ready for beta testing, and by March, I plan to conduct and complete a clinical study to prove this app's accuracy. The planned launch is June of next year. But will people actually buy this app? The health app market currently has a compounded annual growth rate of 44.7%, and it is projected to be worth $236 billion by 2026. With just this app, I project that in the next 5 years, we will have 1.1 million users, earn $11 million in revenue, and $3.7 million in profit. But more than earning money, this app will save millions of lives and trillions of dollars. So thank you for this opportunity.
I guess I'll go first. That's a great presentation, Trista. The graphics that you used, it was very clear, very informative. I have a couple of questions. Why start with Fitbit as the first platform for it?
Well, actually, quite simply, that was the watch that I owned first. Okay. And the idea I had was the biomarkers that you're using. So one of them is like gait speed. And it's really hard to see that gait speed changing like through an eye. So I was like, oh, a smartwatch can actually, it already calculates these things and I could use it to my advantage. So I had a Fitbit. So I decided to start with that.
I have a mother who's turning 85 on Monday. And we just got her an iPhone so she could have an iWatch because it has fall protection. It has a fall alert built in. So that might be a good platform to start with because you're looking at people who already need that type of thing. And that age group may be more likely to have that than a Fitbit. I'm not sure, but that might be something to look at.
Definitely. That's actually the exact market that I want to go into, the iWatch Apple market, because most people who can afford Apple Watches can also afford to pay for this app. And
well,
they're more likely.
That's also a good point. And your preliminary presentation said that you were using 2 biomarkers to begin with, but then you were going to expand to more. What are the original biomarkers, and what are some of the additional ones?
So right now I'm using gait speed, like I just said, which is the change in how fast you're walking every year, and your heart rate variability, which is not the same thing as your heart rate, but it's a different thing. By this December, I like to have at least 3 more, such as using your sleep patterns to take care of your longitudinal progression of health, your stride length, so not your speed, but the length, and your gait symmetry. So those 3 things are also proven to help predict Alzheimer's. So I'd like to incorporate that by December.
Are there other diseases or conditions that these biomarkers can also help predict?
Yes. So not these biomarkers specifically, but just the use of a smartwatch in general. This has not been done before. And so, for example, let's take Parkinson's disease. Hand tremors in the really early stages are really hard to detect by the naked eye. But something like an iWatch or a Fitbit watch or a Samsung watch could easily detect it and could track it and send warnings. So that's another one, yeah.
Have you looked into patentability of this concept?
Yes, this summer my #1 priority is to start the patent process.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I also, Trista, thought an excellent presentation. I think it's an exciting application. There's a lot of controversy about, for example, genetic markers and knowing that you're predisposed to this that disease because you can't do anything about it. But as you pointed out, the fact that knowing early, you could actually prolong, a person's, healthy life. That's incredibly important, exciting, development. So I think this is a great niche and exciting. I think you can get investment for that if you can get it patented. That's, I think, absolutely key. But even being, getting in there first and being, being the first one out there. But in order to do that and maintain your lead in the marketplace, then you really got to get significant investment capital and blast out your brand and become the known application for doing that. But of course, with a patent, you have that kind of protection. So I think there's obviously a very large market. I think the amount that you charge for the app, relative to the value that delivered would probably be fantastic value that a lot of people wouldn't hesitate, to pay to have that kind of detection. I think there are, a certain number of people who would say, I don't want to know if that's the case. But again, if you can really do something about it and start, addressing that issue and extending your useful, productive life, another 5 or 10 years, then I think people would want to know. And so I think it's exciting. I think it's very fundable, and best of luck.
Thank you so much. And more than just helping yourself get your life in order, you could be really useful if you know it early enough. Like if I knew I'd want to participate in clinical studies and try to help the advancement of science as much as possible. So just that, and also like all of these different benefits that come from being diagnosed early.
Yes.
Shrishti, great job. Excellent submission last year. I might comment, you were certainly one of the top picks, and great job this year. Who will hold the data? Is that something that remains in the possession of the end user, or do you intend to touch the data?
So we have to for analysis, but
Okay.
Of course it would be stored in a secure database, preferably like AWS or Google Firebase. But also, I'm not sure about the iWatch yet because I haven't coded in Swift yet. But from Fitbit, I know that the user has to give explicit permission, and so basically they have the rights to their own data, and they can reset it any time they want.
Yeah, right. Well, as you know, the whole security issue around individuals' data is, especially in the healthcare area, extremely important to have a handle on that. You mentioned that these biomarkers, you're originally starting with the 2 biomarkers. Does the research strongly support that those 2 biomarkers as being a predictor? And why would it be that somebody hasn't presented this already?
Yeah, so that's the interesting part. There is numerous research studies that show over 20 plus biomarkers that you could use. So I used heart rate variability and gait speed because they were the most well researched. No one has yet connected these predictive biomarkers to an actual product that can be used by public. Right now, early onset Alzheimer's testing is mainly limited to like MRIs and things like that, which are really invasive and extremely expensive. So I think just that connection hasn't happened yet. And I think I'm just the first one who made it.
Yep. This is a very, very fundable deal. It's one that I think you'll generate a lot of interest, and I could see a lot of other applications that you could develop down the road. So great job.
So have we wrapped up all the judges on Shrishti? I always have to throw in a compliment here just because I'm amazed your background, that you're so together for a high school student. It's like you're blowing us away. And once again, it seems that everyone here is, each one of the finalists have had something that it was a personal connection. In your case, losing a loved one to Alzheimer's, which spurred you to do this. And I love when there's that kind of connection, because there's not only a desire to make money, it's to do something of service. And that's what this whole Changemakers initiative at MIU is about, is everyone wants to make a difference in the world, whether it's in business, whether in the arts, sciences, social justice. That's really the key to action. I see that so much with the millennial and next gener. So you're a great embodiment of that. Thank you, Shrishti.
Thank you.
So now let us go to our fifth and final finalist, who's also from Vietnam. And her name is Queen Pham, which is a beautiful name. And she's one of our students who's in the Compro program at MIU, Computer Professionals Program, which is an extraordinary program where students come from all over the world. They get trained. They're here on campus for less than a year, and then they go out and get internships in top companies. It's just a golden opportunity for internationals to come here and get into learn computer science, get into the job market. So Queen has just finished her career strategy. By the way, she's in the data science program at Compro. There's several different tracks. She's just finished career strategy. She's now looking for a job. And her pitch is about an AI, artificial intelligence search engine for shoes called Boot Up. So Queen, take it away.
Okay, hello everyone, my name is Queen. Today I'm going to present you my application. Its name Boot Up. It's an AI visual searching engine for shoes.
Yes.
Have you ever tried this situation in your daily life? When you see someone wear a pair of shoes and you would love to have it, or you want to buy it for the wife or the kids. So what you're going to do, in the traditional way, you're going to go to the favorite searching tool, like Google, the favorite store to look up for the shoes by describe what you're seeing in the shoes. But sometimes, most of the time, you couldn't find the one you're looking for. So what we do? I'm going to present you a total different new way to do it. It's Boot Up way. So by using a picture of the shoes, you can our system can just find the store selling the shoes for you, or even recommend a different option. So how it works? Our system is able to detect different features from the picture of the shoes, such as the color, the style of design, even the brand name. And then it will find the store which selling the shoes, and even different recommendation for similar design. So what is the potential to grow? So the more people use a system, the more intelligent our system becomes. It can be an AI stylist to recommend what outfits, what accessories, other fashion item can go with it. It can be like a chance forecasting for the company shoes based on what user looking for. It can improve the customer relation between the customer and the store. In the future, it can be applied to different products, clothes and everything else. Here's the timeline of our first release. So it takes about 3 to 4 months to develop the application, and 1 to 1.5 months for beta testing. And in total, it could take about 4 to 5.5 months for launch the first release. So we have the different revenue models, and here's the 2 potential ones. The first one is advertising. The mobile and web application is free to use for user. The store can pay to have the recommendation for the user. The second option is the API subscription. So we can provide an API that the store can embed it in their store website and directly use from their website. And I have 15 minutes of the demo of my app. If you want, I can show it to you. And thank you for listening.
Okay. Well, thank you. This is Kevin Harrington here, and I appreciate your presentation. I have one comment about the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to ask a business question. But I thought when you pulled that up, I thought you were going to show some more examples of take a picture, see the sourcing, because I actually am familiar with this type of app that does this, and I'm going to make a recommendation. But it would have been nice to see a few more slides of the execution of someone using the app, taking the picture and the process. So it's just a recommendation for your pitch, okay, for your next time. All right. But my question to you, as a business model, people, are they paying for the app, or are you getting a percentage of sales where when you send someone wants a pair of shoes, do you have a percentage of sale from the company that has the shoe that you present to them that's similar to one that they saw?
Yeah, so I have 2 options here. The first one is when I saw the recommendation and the user who click on the link and buy the shoes, the company will pay me per click. So yeah, we can work on the price based on the price of the shoes. And the second option is like I provide the API. So if you have the store selling shoes, we can like provide an API for you to embed our API in the store website. So like if the user love the shoes brand, and sometimes like, they come to the shoe brand and try to find the shoes they want, but it takes so much time. But when they use our API, they just by using the picture and search for it. So it will be like a paying monthly subscription. And I actually have the demo of my app. So that's why like I was asking like if you would like to see it, I can show it. It's like 15 seconds of the video.
Yeah. Well, we can't now at this point because now we're judges' comments, but we could maybe at a later time. So I'd like to move on to the next judge. Thank you very much.
Hey, Queen. I like the idea a lot. One of the things that I like about it is I can imagine, someone taking the app and seeing a pair of shoes they like and saying, hey, can I take a picture of your shoe? And it can kind of naturally, just organically, market itself through people interacting and using the app. And that's one thing I really do like about it. One thing I would think about, and I don't know a lot about shoes, but I do know that, with some sneakers, they've got limited runs and there's certain things only available for certain amounts of time that they're kind of rare. So it'd be kind of figuring out how are you going to balance that? How are you going to balance, selling products that are popular and that, are for sale versus items that are more collector's items and aren't as available. So I definitely kind of think about that. I don't know, just kind of one thought. One thing that sort of comes to mind a little bit is kind of with Google AdWords, how oftentimes people can sort of put in bids for, okay, if someone, clicks this ad word, or they put in a word, then it sort of ranks which companies come up first. That might be a thought for one way to sort of generate revenue, is if you go take a picture of a shoe, it takes it to a page saying, here's the shoe, here are places where it's for sale, and then companies can bid to say, okay, I want my company to appear first, so I'll make the sale on that shoe. So it's kind of something to think about, but I think it's a good product.
Users. I think one question I would have is how many current or recent shoe styles do you think exist at any given time? That would have to be in your database of shoes in order for it to be able to recognize them.
So like I did some research. So for total, it can be like more than 100 types of shoes. But I will focus on the most like trending shoes first, and then like expanding it later on.
And where will you get the images to match to your your shoe recognition algorithm?
So like we actually like change out the data with the like manually with the shoes we collect. So it get involved with the professional, and we can like use this manually by using different tools. That will be like faster, but it will be like less when it becomes too like stylish, it need professional reviews. So that's why like it will be manually made, and it takes about like 1 hour to verify one type of shoes, one feature.
Right. And did I understand that your model is that the app itself would be free, but you'd get some kind of commission from the places where they sell the shoes?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, and I think people all the time see things they like, and they're not that easy to track down necessarily. I've had that experience myself sometimes, and by the time I tracked it down, it wasn't available anymore. It was out of stock or something like that. Yeah, I think if it's done well and it has a good database of styles that that it works more often than not in identifying the shoe, I think it would appeal to a lot of people and have good potential.
Okay, thank you. Actually, like I have the video of the first prototype I did. It actually can detect the shoes and have the recommendation. Should I say it?
I think we have time. We have time to see that. It's short. You said
it's
15 seconds.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Sure.
I think we have time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've wrapped up with all the comments now? Thank you, Queen. You know, once again, I always am amazed that I know that there's a whole universe of people out there, many women who love shoes. They might have 100 or even up to 500 pairs of shoes. So I know that's a whole other market out there that some of us may not be familiar with it. But I guess my question is, do you love shoes?
I love shoes.
I think this is going to be a good business for you. So we are right now going to take a 5-minute break. And then meanwhile, the judges are going to go into their special breakout room and they're going to deliberate. And while they're deliberating, we're going to have 3 great talks. But for everybody right now, there's going to be a 5-minute break. There's going to be a holding slide on. So let's come back at 3 o'clock, and that way you can get a drink and take a snack, take a bathroom break. We'll be back at exactly 3 o'clock to hear from Hal Goldstein and Mayor Ed Malloy and Cliff Rose. So see you in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everybody. I hope everyone enjoyed their little break. It's kind of cool. I'm starting to like warm up to this idea of online events, even though it's definitely doesn't quite have the juice of a live event. But I closed up quickly. I just want to say, wow, thank you for our 5 finalists and your fantastic pitches. Really inspiring. I mean, I'm going to say a few more words when we get to the award ceremony, but just if anyone is really wondering about the potential for the next generation, I think anyone's doubts or fears, this is so slick, professional, powerful, coherent, really fantastic. So while the judges are deliberating and the clock is ticking with the judges in their little room, we're going to have a couple talks here. First up is going to be Hal Goldstein, followed by our, how should we call it, a Mayor Emeritus, Ed Malloy, and also Cliff. So let me introduce Hal. Hal Goldstein, I've known him for a long time, is a visionary publisher who's also a multidimensional businessman. I think it's interesting because you've learned 3 master's degrees in areas of mind, heart, and spirit: computer science, social work, and of course, interdisciplinary studies from MIU. I know Hal worked as a software engineer for Hewlett Packard and later launched a successful publishing career with magazines like iPhone Life. And after being named Entrepreneur of the Year, Hal sold iPhone Life magazine to his 20-or-something MIU grad employees and retired. And now that he's retired, he had the time to write, I think, a really interesting book. It's called Meditating Entrepreneurs, Creating Success from the Stillness Within, which Hal has a really, I think, deep insights to what we have as our unique speciality here in Fairfield, combining entrepreneurial talents and energy with this long time practice of meditation, transcendental meditation. So Hal, take it away.
Well, thank you, Michael, and thanks to these great presentations. It was really inspiring to listen to them. You know, shoes and nails and driving and health and housing, different niches. So the question really is, what does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? Is it the product, a wow product? Is it great marketing? We were talking about outsourcing. Is that what it takes? And does it take inspiring leadership like what we'll hear from Ed Malloy in a few minutes? It takes all those things. But since we're at Maharishi International University, let's look inward in terms of what does it take. And so first, let me tell you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. I moved here in the 80s along with thousands of others. We were inspired by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's vision of creating inner and outer abundance of world peace and enlightenment. And when I moved here, there was no jobs. What was I going to do? And hundreds of other people had the exact same experience. We didn't know what we were going to do, so we started businesses. And we started businesses even though most of us knew nothing about business. I was an anti-establishment, long-haired idealist in the 60s. And so what did I know? So I ended up starting a business, and I was successful. I had 20-some people publishing business working for me, and other people around me were successful. Small businesses, other businesses, a couple of them were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And so how did that happen? What did we have in common? And the obvious thing we had in common was that we all meditated. We all practiced the Transcendental Meditation program. And we all had learned about the science of consciousness from Maharishi, how consciousness manifests in the world. And so, but what about that? What about that made us successful? And so what I ended up doing was I started teaching a course at MIU on entrepreneurship, where I invited entrepreneurs, people like your judge, some of the judges and Ed, to the class to tell them what made them successful. And then I ended up writing my book, Meditating Entrepreneurs. So today I thought I'd just talk about one of those inner qualities that was quite astounding when I saw it in every speaker that came to speak. And that is decision making. So when you think about it, life and business are all about making decisions. And we have to make decisions all the time. In business, you have to decide who you're going to hire, who you're going to fire, how you're going to source your product, who do you trust? Should I take the next phone call? What do I do in a global pandemic? Decisions are constantly having to be made, and there's never enough information, and things are changing fast. And so there are two aspects of decision making when you think about it. One is sort of the outer aspect. It's the data. It's the accounting reports. It's what your customers tell you. It's what your employees tell you. And then there's the inner aspect. What do you do with that data? What's important and what isn't important? And what was so interesting, when the entrepreneurs would come to my class, I'd ask them, how did you know? You just went into left field and you made this decision or you made that decision and it made no sense. How did you just know? And over and over again, they would just say, I just knew. I just knew this was the step I had to take. I had to go left instead of right. And so there was this inner knowingness, this intuition. And it's this intuition that whether you meditate or not, you've got to have if you're going to be successful in business and life. It's about trusting yourself, trusting your own beingness, trusting which direction you're going to go. And so I'll tell you a story about one of the entrepreneurs and his way he dealt with this whole idea. So one of the entrepreneurs I wrote about was a marvelous fellow. His name is Troy Van Beek, and he was a Navy SEAL, and he was a sniper protecting the Afghan president. And then he had a security company, and but he saw things weren't right. There was poverty and there was war in the Middle East, and he wasn't doing his duty. He wasn't doing why he became a soldier. And so he started Googling sustainability and spirituality, because he saw that these resources, these limited resources, oil, were causing war. And so MIU kept coming up. And so he moved to MIU and started the Sustainable Living Program, and fell in love. And he fell in love with another entrepreneur, Amy Greenfield, who grew up here, a meditator. And they formed Ideal Energy, a solar energy company. And Ed, who's going to speak, it had actually a lot to do with that whole thing. And so this is what Troy said when he was talking about his TM practice. He says, during my TM practice, I digest the many variables that constant change brings to ideal energy. After the quiet of meditation, the pieces arrange themselves. It's like having a supercomputer inside. I give it direction and watch the parts come together. And if you ask any of these entrepreneurs, and they'll tell you the exact same thing. There's this magic supercomputer that goes on when we transcend. And somehow the pieces start putting together. Another of the entrepreneurs I wrote about was Stephen Wynn, who was involved in 3 multi-million-dollar companies. And he has a master's in Vedic science from MIU. And he said this, I just love this. He says, business appears to take place during the day-to-day operations, but business actually happens in the quiet moments when we stamp our intentions on the infinite. So yes, all these things that we've heard today and all the brilliant insights from Kevin and the other entrepreneurs are you have to have them. But where the real action is in the silence, and is in the power of that silence and that power to manifest. Now, the tricky part about intuition is that it can get confused with emotions, with negative emotions such as fear and greed or anger and pride. So how do we distinguish with what's intuition and what's one of those emotions? And again, it takes practice, but meditators have a huge advantage because they know what it's like to feel centered, and then they know what it's like not to feel centered and to feel agitated. And so what to do with these emotions? Just let them pass. They're just like clouds. We just don't mind them, and we just let them leave and come back to the self and then use our intuition. And so one other thing I want to mention about emotion, which is very important in business, in that enthusiasm is a very positive emotion, and that it gives fire, it gives drive. And enthusiasm, again, how TM and pure consciousness helps, because the nature of pure consciousness is bliss, and enthusiasm is bliss. So when we touch down into that enthusiasm, that gives us the power to move forward. So to just wrap it up, I would advise all entrepreneurs to culture your intuition. And how do you culture your intuition? You transcend twice daily. You're honest in your introspection. You get environmental feedback. You try, you see what happens, and then you do the whole process over. You just relax, you go into the self, and allow the answer to come. Take action, get feedback, and start over. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the day. Michael.
Thank you, Hal. Great talk. You know, I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't talk a little bit about this whole idea of the inner and outer stroke. That's our unique speciality here at MIU,
right?
Where we've learned to grow within, but also not at all relinquish the deep desire to play in the world out there, which is what I said at the beginning. What if we had that superfluid connection to manifest our great ideas? That superfluid connection starts from inside and works its way outside. And I think our next speaker really embodies that outer level as well, although he's got the inner stroke at the same time. You know, Ed Malloy hardly needs an introduction in Fairfield, but maybe to the rest of the country we will. There's such a term as Mayor Emeritus, which I just made up. You know, Ed would certainly have that title since he was the mayor of Fairfield for 18 years, from 2002 to 2020. He has helped grow this community so much on the outer level, and we all are in a debt of service to him on that. He's also on the board of trustees at MIU. He's founded the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association, and he's also been the CEO of his own company, Danaher Oil, which is a fuel brokerage company. So now we've asked Ed to come and speak, which, by the way, some of you saw on the schedule that Donna Cleveland was going to be speaking now. But there's been a death in her extended family, so we called on Ed at the last minute just yesterday to see if he could fill in for Donna. And he's going to give us a brief vision of why Fairfield is such a fertile ground for entrepreneurship, especially for next-gen entrepreneurs. So welcome, Ed.
Thank you, Michael. It's great to join everyone today. Very inspiring presentation so far. Hal, thank you so much for your talk and really underscoring what I think is one of the underappreciated business skill sets and advantages of what is developed here in this community, and that is intuition, because It really is making the right decisions at the right time that affords the success that we see. And it's interesting, you know, when I got involved in the late 1980s in founding an Entrepreneurs Association, it was with the intention to preserve and protect and to nurture the young businesses that were forming at that time. And the resource that we had was our own development of consciousness and the fact that we were all going through similar situations, yet maybe at different stages, so that we could all be mentors to each other. And now we're a generation of mentors. And this next generation of entrepreneurs that are coming up is just so inspiring to see. And I'm going to talk a little bit later on about how we've been recognized again to reinforce this kind of success that we've had. Cliff Rose also, I wanted to say, is really carrying the torch within the university and cultivating more of these entrepreneurs in a way that's going to pay great dividends for not just the university, but Fairfield as a community. I'm going to share some slides right now, so let me, okay. So over the last 3 decades, we've not only built many, many significant companies within Fairfield, attracted talent from around the world, had impact in major industries around the country, and as I'd mentioned, developed several generations of entrepreneurs right now. But we've also built around that within our own small city of 10,000, a quality of life environment that is second to none, certainly for a community our size. So over that time, Fairfield has been recognized for its accomplishments and achievements. And this is really something that came out of collaborations that take place within our community that have their roots in that same entrepreneurial dynamism and energy that all of these great business leaders express. So here are some of the things that have happened over the last couple of decades. You know, what makes us distinctive is that we're a small town with attributes of a big city. We have a reputation for success and diversity. MIU is known throughout Iowa and the US, and it is our biggest attraction. Beyond the university, there are hundreds of people who practice meditation here. And businesses, entrepreneurship, arts, and culture abound. We are also the solar and sustainability capital of Iowa. We have recreation, healthy living, good food, all a part of our community. And again, as part of the foundation for all of these great business ventures. So as far as achievements, in 2003, we were approached by the Iowa Department of Economic Development to apply for an award that was being offered by the National Association of Towns and Townships in Washington, D.C. And we were named the most entrepreneurial city in America under 10,000 population. This organization never gave the award again because the story we told about the business development entrepreneurs was so far and away above what they were hearing from any other small cities. In 2004, Iowa State University named Fairfield the most entrepreneurial city in Iowa. We have hundreds of artists. Several years prior, they had begun a cultural event called the Fairfield Art Walk. It won the Tourism Event of the Year. 2006, we became known as an Iowa Great Place. Because of our sustainability initiatives, in 2007, Mother Earth News named us one of the best places to live you've never heard of. In 2008, we opened our Arts and Convention Center featuring the Stephen Sondheim Center for Performing Arts. In 2009, we published a 10-year Go Green strategic plan around sustainability. I was recognized as one of the 15 greenest mayors in America for that initiative. In 2010, we began an energy conservation project and reduced our overall energy consumption by 8.5%. We completed a loop trail of 16 miles around the city of Fairfield. In 2012, Oprah visited Fairfield and did a 1-hour show on TM, MSAE, and the Maharishi Vedic Pundits. In 2013, Smithsonian Magazine named Fairfield one of the 10 top places to visit in America under 15,000 population. In 2014, we became an Iowa Blue Zone. 2015, BuzzFeed named us one of the top 11 places to do a road trip to. We were number 2. In 2016, we opened up an outdoor pool and outdoor skate park. 2017, we opened up a new sportsplex. In 2018, we completed a $1 million facade restoration of our downtown. Hal had a couple of buildings that participated in that. In 2019, we completed our new wastewater treatment plant and a 10-year comprehensive plan. And as of last year, the US Census data shows that Fairfield has grown by 9.4% since 2010. I believe that's over 10% now. And while other cities our size across America, certainly in Iowa, are losing population, we are gaining population. Most recently, and I'll end with this, we were recognized by a think tank out of Arkansas that's funded by the Walton family called Heartland Forward as one of the top micropolitan areas in the country for young job creation. A micropolitan is defined as population between 10,000 and 50,000. This study studied really the entire country and divided it between metropolitan areas and micropolitan areas. They identified 550 micropolitan areas, and Fairfield ranked 35th among 550, and we were the only one out of 9 states in the entire Midwest region. Here's a map of some of the top 50 micropolitan areas, and what they measured were young entrepreneurs, their business activity, creating new jobs. This report was about the future of job creation in the country, and it was really all about focusing on where the next jobs are going to be created from a lot of young people. Fairfield was recognized in this. I called some of the researchers after the story was released. They were so fascinated with the diversity of companies in Fairfield, they're going to be coming here for a follow-up visit. So our next generation of entrepreneurs and those presenting today will certainly make a big impact on Fairfield for the next generation. We look forward to that, and events like this will help us get there. So Michael, thank you for the opportunity today, and congratulations to everyone presenting today.
Thank you, Ed, for jumping in with an amazing slideshow. It's just, I really think it was a fortuitous little switch that you came on, because that recent designation that we have as this place for young entrepreneurs to grow, it couldn't come at a better time, especially in the conjunction with the CTMI program. We are an entrepreneurial hotbed, and especially now when I've seen what's happening in the rest of the country, I think people are going to see this is a great place to live. Going through the whole COVID situation, life has pretty much gone on here almost, well, as close to normal as it could be. It's a great place to live, and it's a great place to grow your business. And thank you for all you've done to help usher that process along. So last but not least, we just had to hear a few words from Cliff Rose today, because he has been the driving force behind this. The fact that we even have this event in conjunction with the CTMI program, the connection with the judges, the connection with Kevin Harrington. Cliff, could you, I should say Cliff, if I haven't, people don't know already, is the director of the Concept to Market Institute at MIU. He's known, as you saw, Kevin for a long time. He's 30 years specializing in brand and market development, and was the director of marketing for American Marketing System, a nationally recognized advertising agency. He's got an abundant field of connections with everyone in the entrepreneurial world, both in and out of Fairfield. Cliff, just give us a few words, spend a few minutes telling us about the CTMI program, why you're so enthusiastic, which you are, like it's nonstop with Cliff. What's so great about the CTMI program, and why should someone do it?
All right, thanks, Michael. Before I jump into that, I want to thank Hal and I want to thank Ed for participating in their little talks. First, I want to acknowledge all the hard work and dedication from both you and Viola Bergave. You both put a tremendous amount of your time into this Becoming a Big Fish Shark Tank event. And without you guys, without your dedication and all of the time that you put into it, this event never would have happened. And so I want to thank you, Michael and Viola, very, very much. Also, I want to thank our hardworking and dedicated judges who are also active members of the Concept to Market Institute member team. Monica Hadley, Hal Goldstein, and Ken Ross are three very dynamic, successful entrepreneurs who have helped turn Fairfield into what Wired magazine had on the cover and a feature article about Fairfield and dubbed us Silicon Valley. If you haven't seen the article on Silicon Valley, it's worth looking up in the archive from Wired magazine. Alden Rowe, one of our judges, graduated from MIU and was a graduate of the CTMI program, and I really appreciate his youthful enthusiasm and creativity. Dennis Roland is one of my good buddies, and he has been involved as a founding member of the CTMI mentor team ever since the beginning. And I couldn't appreciate you, Dennis, more than I do. And of course, there's Kevin. Kevin, a heartfelt gratitude. Thank you to my old friend Kevin, the original shark from the TV show Shark Tank. Kevin, you're an inspiration to all of us. You've been an inspiration to millions of entrepreneurs around the world, and we appreciate you and your participation every year. Thanks, Kevin. You are a great guy. The CTMI, the Concept to Market Institute at MIU, is a semester-long certificate program and is also the heart of the BA degree in business, which has the title The Creative Entrepreneur. Both the CTMI certificate program and the BA in Creative Entrepreneurship are dedicated to educating, assisting, and training young students to identify and develop new ideas, concepts, and innovations, sustainable products, businesses, and services which can help solve global needs. Once an idea or innovation is identified, then the process begins in full, developing a full concept statement, a marketing plan, financial plan, executive summary, and finally an advertising plan, all leading to a completed business plan. And of course, all leading in the direction of their concepts actually becoming realities. It doesn't matter whether the student ends up working for themselves as an entrepreneur or using their creative talent and skill working for another company as an intrapreneur. You will be prepared. So, to get more information about the Concept to Market Institute certificate program or the BA in Creative Entrepreneurship, just check us out at miu.edu/CTMI for more information. Thanks, everybody, and good luck to our finalists.
Thank you, Cliff. I mean, I think we've rounded out our whole afternoon. We've gone a little bit over, but it was really interesting. We took the time to really give, I think, the due process with our judges, with our 5 finalists. We've put on a great little show of the inward and outward stroke, what Fairfield has done, and now it's the moment we've all been waiting for. Who won? The truth is, though, everyone has won. Just the fact all 25 people who submitted submission concept statements, they won, that they took the risk and the initiative to submit something. And some of the other ones, we are going to be looking at the other 20, by the way. Last year we had a coaching session. Cliff is going to, I'm putting you on the spot, Cliff. You want to reach out to those other 20 and see what we can do to help them. And there may be some good ideas that Kevin or Dennis or any of the judges would be interested in potentially helping grow. But for our top 5 in particular, you're all winners already, meaning it's just amazing. It's tough. I wasn't in the judges' room, but they'll tell me later, maybe we'll have a few words at the end of how they arrived at this. But now let us begin our awards ceremony. And my trusted assistant, Jessica Morrow, is going to give me the first envelope, number 5. We're doing this for real. We got our gold envelopes here. And now, drum roll. The winner of the number 5 is Queen Pham. You have just won $100 cash. Our virtual audience is celebrating.
Thank you so much.
Queen, the crowd can't stop. We had to do a little thing. We have thousands of people just sitting that I have tucked away in the back corner here just to celebrate here. And they're all wearing masks, and it's totally proper social distancing as well. So Queen, congratulations on winning this award here. I know every woman in the country or every person in the country who buys shoes is going to be indebted to you and your project. Thank you very much. And now, in 4th place with My Real Home is David Ford, winning also $100 in cash. Congratulations, David. There we go. David, you want to have anything to say of just what it feels like to win?
No, it's absolutely great. It was a great opportunity to be here. I'm thrilled.
Fantastic. I really think, for all the veterans out there and the non-veterans, what you have in mind, especially here in Fairfield, we really hope you can commercialize your container buildings. And now, number 3. You get a drum, you get a horn toot too. The 3rd winner, winning $200 cash and a $500 scholarship to MIU, is our MSA student, Lily Fenton.
All right.
Thank you.
The crowds can't stop. Lily, do you have anything to say?
It was just a great opportunity to show my concept statement and hear everyone else's amazing ideas.
Yeah, you've been in really good company, and it's just an amazing place. Amazing just that what you've done already as a high school student. I can't wait till you're in college, and maybe you'll actually end up in the CTMI program at MIU or wherever you go. So now it's always challenging to decide, because if I say the number 2 winner, then we automatically know who the number 1 winner is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to announce the number 1 winner and then honor number 2, and then we'll talk to both of you. So now, the winner of the Becoming a Big Fish Shark Tank-like competition is Shristi Sharma, winning $500 cash and a $500 scholarship to MIU. Whoa! Look what's happening around here. It's just amazing. Amazing.
Thank you so much.
That's great, Shristi.
And that means that number 2 goes to Fong, winning $300 cash and a $500 scholarship to MIU. Fong, let's just hear from you first. How do it's amazing, just with starting out with the idea of nails.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You took 2nd place in this competition. How does it feel?
Yeah, I feel great. Thank you.
You have a huge career ahead of you, and I hope you great success in manifesting this in a big way. And that leaves Shristi. It's like the golden buzzer. They had this confetti flying around here. It's just amazing. You've already won your science competitions. You were, I think, what you said, Harvard at 13? Is that what you?
11.
11. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. I underestimated you. What you have with this smartphone, I think all of us recognize you have something huge developing that'll not only be potentially incredibly profitable, but also save lives and create, really longer lives that are really lives that are fulfilled lives. So what would you like to say for yourself just winning this award?
Well, thank you so much for giving me this platform to come and share my idea and to hear your feedback. It was so helpful. I'm going to keep it all in mind as I work toward this in the future. And this money I'm going to use towards my clinical studies to get that done and start putting this app out into the market. So thank you so much.
Shristi, you're fantastic and you're articulate and poised. Anyway, to all of our 5 finalists, I think the judges are going to be talking to you. The venture capitalists are standing by. This is just the beginning. This seems to be an annual tradition, although I have to say that every year I say, we're never going to do this again. It's too much work. But after we do it and see the rewards and see the feedback and see how much you grow through this process, it's worth doing again. So on behalf of the business department at MIU, Vicki Alexander Harriet and Scott Harriet, who are the heads of the department, Cliff Rose and all the business department faculty, from MIU, International University, Maharishi International University, to the David Lynch Foundation. And I have to add in a plug here for Maharishi School of the Age of Enlightenment. The fact that 2 of you got through here, it's amazing that this school is producing the next generation of leaders. I think you were acknowledged as is it either the 1 or the 2 top private college prep schools in Iowa? Is that the designation? Ed would maybe know, but it's an amazing school. And it's many of you I know end up coming to MIU. So Kevin, is Kevin still on the line? I think, Kevin, please give some kind of close to just this whole process today.
I want to say that I've taken a lot of pitches, and these ranked very, very well at having a couple of high school students mixed in with the MIU group. It was really a special day for me to take these pitches, and I think there could be some commerce that comes out of a few of these, and at least one that I would like to be in a follow-up mode with, that we can do that at a later time. But thank you for having me, and I just want to wish everyone really good luck, and to the people that presented, amazing job. Thanks to the judges, Cliff Rose, MIU. Thanks. Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And you know, Kevin, by the way, for many of you have seen, he's like become a spokesperson for the CTMI program. He recorded a great 2-minute video just promoting the program. He's aligned with us. This is not a one-shot deal. Exactly. And Cliff, do you want to say anything to close?
Well, I am just thrilled to see how smoothly you were able to organize this whole thing online. Obviously, we were intending to hold this in person, but the situation just didn't allow it, and you and Viola just did a fantastic job. So I'm really thrilled, happy for all of our finalists. And again, from my heart, I appreciate all of you very, very much. Thank you.
So from all of our hearts, out to our viewing audience out there in the world, this will be, you can tell your friends, we recorded all this, which I hope they press the record button. And the replay will be available. It's going to be a long program, but I think we wanted to give everyone their full due. Signing off from Fairfield, Iowa, and live from MIU, signing off. Thanks for a great day to all of you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.